Wednesday, October the 18th, the 291st day of 1989. There are 74 days left in this year. Thought for the day comes from Malcolm X, 1925. He was born 1965. He died. You're not supposed to be so blind with patriotism that you can't face reality. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it or who says it. From Malcolm X. From today's Washington Post for Wednesday, October the 18th, 1989, the headline reads, page D5, Fauntleroy makes appeal for judge. Senate urged to let Judge Hastings keep his post. D.C. Delegate Walter Fauntleroy, wading into the racially charged debate over allegations against U.S. District Judge Alcee Hastings, called on the United States Senate yesterday not to remove the judge from office. The story goes on. There's a particular paragraph I want to share with you. But Walter Fauntleroy raised the issue again yesterday of double jeopardy, saying that the United States Senate's trial, quote, is not right and is not fair. Walter Fauntleroy saying, in just a different phraseology, the same thing the great Malcolm X said many years ago. Walter Fauntleroy, in his press conference yesterday on the issue of double jeopardy, said, the Senate trial is not right and it is not fair. It is well established in America and English jurisprudence that to put a person on trial a second time for the same offense places that person at an unfair and prejudicial disadvantage. Quote from Walter Fauntleroy from today's newspaper from yesterday's press conference this morning at 11 a.m. A rally for justice, a support group for Alcee Hastings, a support group for all of African Americans who must go through the court system. We're asking each and every one of you, take leave of absence. Shut down for a couple hours if necessary. Take your children out of school. Teachers, bring your classes. The west side of the United States Senate building. This afternoon, Alcee Hastings will go before the full United States Senate and present his closing argument. The Senate will deliberate tomorrow and vote on Friday. And we'll keep Judge Hastings constantly in the prayer circle. We will assemble with him. We will pray. We will meditate. We will think positive thoughts. We will stand together. And we will say, as Malcolm X has said, as Congressman Walter Fauntleroy has said, wrong is wrong, and the United States Senate is wrong. They have an opportunity to do the right and just thing by Judge Alcee Hastings and all judges and all members of the African American community, and we will petition them to do so. 6:38 is the time. 432-1450 is the number. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How you doing, Kat?
Wonderful. How are you?
Who's that?
Hey, Addison, how have you been? It's been months since I've heard from you.
Yeah. Are you aware that Mary Mason is in the hospital up in Philly?
No, I'm not. That's why she's not returning my call. I've been calling her.
I was up there on Monday.
I'll be darned. Do you know what hospital?
No, I happened to have been up there, and her program was coming on when I was in this place doing some business. And the guy happened to mention, well, here's another tape recording because she's in the hospital. And I didn't even think to get the information. And I tried to get through to you yesterday, so I decided to call early this morning to let you know, because I didn't hear you mention anything about it.
I had no idea. I've been trying to call her to petition Senator Arlen Specter.
Yeah, well,
she hasn't been returning my call, so she's sick.
Yeah.
So, when you said another tape, so when Mary's not on her show, they run tapes of her other shows?
They run tapes, they either put a guest on, and I wasn't really interested. I just was listening and, not really paying too much attention, but what, attracted my attention was because they mentioned her name, and I asked the guy about it, and then he said, well, she's been ill, she's in the hospital, and that's when I, paid attention to what they were doing.
Well, Addison Fair, even when I don't hear from you, you're right on top of things. I appreciate you sharing that information with me. This afternoon when I come back from the Hill, I'll give her a call and find out, because as soon as I get out off the air, I'm going straight up on the Hill. Will I see you today?
I'm pretty sure you will see me.
All right, we will assemble up on the west side of the United States Senate building.
At 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Thank you.
Have a good
20 minutes away from 7 o'clock here at WOL.
Stop the lynching. Come to the Rally for Justice on Wednesday, October the 18th at the U.S. Capitol steps on the west side at 11 a.m. to hear Judge Alcee Hastings just prior to making his final arguments before the U.S. Senate concerning his impeachment hearing. Several national leaders and elected officials will also be present. As a people, let's show our support by also being present.
Got a cold? Gotta feel better fast. Then you've got to get Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. People who use it will tell you.
It works.
It's fast.
It works fast.
Alka-Seltzer Plus, the fizz for you.
Good morning. Good morning. It's the morning show from WOL. With your host, Kathy Hughes. Talk to the people, Kathy.
Well, I've been talking to them long. I knew something didn't sound right about U.S. Senate building, U.S. Capitol building. Excuse-moi, yes, I'm very emotional this week, and 8 hours of watching the devastation in San Francisco certainly did nothing but intensify my already high emotional level. 6:43 is the time, 17 minutes away from 7 o'clock. Good morning to you.
Yes, Mrs. I want to let you know that the California legal aid was the one that did not allow us to have an appointment when we were up there. And I say this with compassion.
The California delegation.
Yes, was one of the ones that sort of treated us the worst. And,
So you're one of the volunteer lobbyists.
yeah, Ira Goldman, he refused to say,
Senator Goldman's,
I don't even have 15 minutes for you. So I just said we just keep on praying.
Absolutely.
Who's around, we'll come around.
All right, my sister. I'll see you in the Hill at 11?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
6:44 is the time. Good morning to you.
Good morning. This is Ann Alexander. I'm an attorney in Washington, D.C.
Hi, Ann.
Hi. And I just wanted to make the comment that it's quite interesting, and it shows the hypocrisy of the system to put a black man, try to charge a black man again after he's been acquitted in the American courts, and then let a white woman out of jail after she's been put in there by a black judge.
Exactly. The handwriting is on the wall, and if we do not unify our voices and stand together, it's just going to be incident after incident. It would be opening the floodgates. You're absolutely correct. Here, Judge Dixon, who conferred with a panel of his peers, other judges passed their unanimous opinion that he had done the right thing in the incarceration because the law was very clear on what he had to do. And yet the Congress almost overnight passed legislation to get in the middle of a rich white woman fighting with her rich white husband over a child that no one even knows whether or not the child is alive or dead. And here Alcee Hastings, after being acquitted unanimously by a jury of his peers, is tried again. You're absolutely correct, Ann. Are you going to be able to join us?
Oh, yes, I'm going to try to do that. I'm in trial today, but I'm going to try and call the judge chambers and try to get the trial pushed up as possible.
All right.
Yes, sir, I will definitely be there.
Thank you. Well, we will be there all afternoon
Okay, you know.
because his arguments probably won't start till about 3 o'clock. Thank you, my sister. 15 minutes away from 7 o'clock, an attorney in Washington who says she's going to seek him, the judge in the trial that she's involved in, push the case up a little earlier so that she will be able to join us. Please join us on the Hill this morning, the United States Capitol building, west side, starting at 11. I want to let you know that Champ Cookies, a grassroots program working with D.C. youth to build a safer, drug-free community, is having a special benefit sale of Champ Cookies made fresh daily by youngsters ages 10 through 13 of the Champ Cookies and Things Incorporated for the Hurricane Hugo Relief Fund, South Carolina State Society. Now, the sale started on October the 16th in front of the furniture store, Fred Litwin's furniture store at 637 Indiana Avenue Northwest. You can place orders and pay by noon. Pick them up the next day. Chocolate chip cookies and oatmeal raisin 3 per bag. It's a baker's dozen. And Champ Cookies wants you to know that that's going to continue throughout this week. We're always happy to make any announcement that will benefit the young folks at Champ Cookies, and we applaud them for using their resources and sharing the money that they are earning through the sale of Champ Cookies with the Hurricane Hugo Relief Fund for the South Carolina State Society. 13 minutes away from 7 o'clock. Good morning to you.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Amos Mohammed, the Sirleaf from West Africa, Liberia. And
good morning, my brother.
Yes, ma'am. I graduated from Prairie View University.
Prairie View A&M.
Yes, ma'am. And I got my BSc in criminal justice and law enforcement, and I got my master's also at the same institution. I'm at Howard, try to do my PhD in African Studies.
Oh, wonderful, my brother. Now walk away from your radio or turn it down a little bit because you're getting feedback.
Okay.
All right. Go right ahead.
Yes, ma'am. My reason for calling you this morning is that I'm part of the struggle of the Hastings situation under the white judicial system. It brings tears into my mind, my heart, when I look at the situation of a black man in the predominantly white society, imperialistic and capitalistic nation like America. I think about the condition of Nelson Mandela in South Africa.
Yes.
Okay, and Nelson Mandela had been in jail almost 27 years ago. And so I come out this morning to tell you I really appreciate the fact that you try to inform everybody everywhere in the world. As an African, I will strongly participate in the uprising, participate in the march of the Capitol building, because we as black people, what affect all directly or indirectly, because the situation with Hastings is synonymous with the situation with Nelson Mandela in South Africa. So there's a clear indication that we have got our home. Here is not our home, but the justice system in the United States or in the Western world is not in our favor. So we might make the world to know that we are somebody, our voices can be heard. So I'm appealing to all African international students in the United States, everywhere, to help us free our brother from the yoke of imperialistic colonization in the United States justice system. This is true because we got our brother in South Africa in jail today. Victor Sisulu just got released.
After 25 years. Yes, after 25 years, Nelson Mandela is still in jail.
Yes, ma'am. So,
for speaking up for his people. My brother, are you familiar with Christine Punta?
Yeah.
I have her on my television show this Saturday evening at 7 p.m. on Channel 50. Christine Punta. This is her first visit to the United States of America, her first appearance in the media. She is my guest this Saturday at 7 p.m. on Channel 50.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that. One day I will take the opportunity to come down there. Matter of fact, Professor Walter Cross and I graduated from Prairie View. We are the founder of the Blackology. Blackology might sound strange in this society right now because Blackology, spelled B-L-O-C-K-O-L-O-G-Y, is the science of black culture. Okay, that's it, that entails black sufficiency, black productivity, black self-awareness, black positive self-concept. This is a study that we try to develop, and then will be at Howard this spring. So we are inviting, in particular you, because I admire you a whole lot. You are very vigilant, you are very intuitive in this society. And I pray for you, and I pray that your Hastings will have a fair trial. In fact, it is very uncertain indeed, because he has been found guilty already. We know that, but we will try our best to make the world to know that we are fair people. We are the chosen children of the law.
Absolutely. My brother, I want to have you and Walter Cross on the show to talk about Blackology. Would you call my producer after 9 o'clock this morning? Her name is Emily Collins, and her number is 675-4800.
Okay.
Thank you, my brother. May God go with you. Beautiful, beautiful presentation by one of our African brothers. He says there's no difference in what has happened to Nelson Mandela in South Africa and what is about to happen to Judge L.C. Hastings. 11 a.m., the place to be, the United States Capitol, on the west side. 9 minutes away from 7 o'clock, Eric St. James is standing by with news, followed by Carl Rowan. The 6:51 newscast is brought to you by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America.
Listen to the heartbeat. Oh, man, I don't want to meet your accounting prof. She's brilliant, Frankie. If she's so smart, man, why do you call her Rapunzel? Frankie, she's worth proving. This is a car. She drives this? This is serious machinery. Chevy Beretta. Teaches accounting and drives a sports coupe? You got it. I mean, look at this car, man. Do you have any idea what a Beretta is capable of? Sure. My friend, we're talking a rear stabilizer about as thick as a baseball bat. We're talking electronic fuel injection, short throw 5-speed. Look, I know.
Have promised a quick response to the San Francisco earthquake. Agency officials gathered in Washington late last night to watch news of the damage to the San Francisco Bay region. They dispatched officials to Sacramento to help California government officials handle aid paperwork. The agency has a $1.18 billion pool that have been killed. Judge Alcee Hastings is expected to make a final appeal to the Senate today to acquit him of impeachment charges voted by the House 14 months ago. Hastings, the first black federal judge to serve in Florida, was acquitted by a jury in 1983 of conspiring to take a bribe. A panel of fellow judges later concluded that he lied at his trial, and the House voted 413-3 for impeachment. To save the Senate's time, a special committee of senators has been hearing testimony. The full Senate will probably decide tomorrow whether Hastings should be removed from office. District Delegate Walter Fauntroy has called on the U.S. Senate not to remove U.S. District Judge Alcee Hastings from office, appearing at a news conference with Hastings yesterday. Fauntroy said impeachment proceedings against the judge in the Senate this week are violating basic constitutional principles of justice and fairness. In supporting Hastings, Fauntroy is joining several black activists supporting the judge in a rally to be held at 11 a.m. outside the U.S. Capitol building. District school board members, annoyed that the Reverend Jesse Jackson's education plans for the city continue to catch them off guard, will meet with him tonight to clear the air and suggest specific problems he could solve. That's according to the Washington Post, which quotes several board members as saying they're tired of first hearing his ideas for improving city schools from the media or during public events he attends. The newspaper says the board will likely give Jackson a list of about 5 projects they think he can help with, but by yesterday hadn't decided exactly what those items will be. They say tonight's meeting is an attempt to ask for Jackson's help, but on their terms. ABC's Jane Platt reports that a group of celebrities held a news conference Tuesday to announce the launching of the National Mobilization for Women's Lives, a group which favors the right of women to choose to have abortions.
Hollywood celebrities who favor abortion rights will join in rallies across the country on November 12th. Morgan Fairchild says this will kick off a year-long countdown to the 1990 elections with the hope that politicians will listen to their pro-abortion rights constituents.
Our Constitution protects our liberties and our privacy. We did not gain these rights only to give them back.
Fairchild and the other celebrities said they were appalled to hear that President Bush will veto the bill allowing federal abortion funding for rape and incest victims. As Polly Bergen put it, this means the battle has truly just begun. Jane Platt, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And President Bush is going to veto that HHS bill, and Compton has that story.
President Bush said his veto decision was not taken easily or lightly, that abortion is a painful, very personal decision, and his intense concern for the victims of rape and incest is as strong as his opposition to the government paying for abortions. In his letter to Capitol Hill, explaining his intention to veto, the president says there is no perfect legislation guaranteeing that federal funds would go only toward those abortions caused by acts of violence. So the president said he will err on the side of human life and refused to sign the compromise that was so hard fought on the Hill. And Compton, ABC News, the White House.
WOL weather, cloudy, cooler with occasional rain. Highs near 70, low tonight 45. Windy, chilly with showers on Thursday with a high of 54. Currently in Washington, it's 67 degrees. This newscast has been brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. For WOL News, I'm Eric St. James.
And now the Rowan Report, presented by the new Chrysler Corporation, featuring award-winning journalist and broadcaster Carl T. Rowan.
It's hell to be without a job. It's even more hellish to be without a job and not be able to get unemployment benefits. But that's exactly the situation in which millions of Americans, nearly 7 in 10 of those who are unemployed, find themselves. I'll tell you more about this gaping hole in our social safety net
right after this message from Chrysler Corporation.
Look here, you're gonna laugh. The paper says Killer Joe's is an overnight success. 15 years to get this restaurant to where it is. Hard work, some luck, and then I put some paint on the front, add a couple of plants, and boom, Killer Joe's is an overnight success. And that's how it works. That's why even though I always wanted a luxury car, I waited till now to get one. I got the all-new Chrysler New Yorker 5th Avenue, because to me, a classy place has class because of what you don't see. And that's how my 5th Avenue is. Oh, it's got the marked cross seating and the elegant instrument panel, all that. But the engineering is what makes the 5th Avenue so advanced. It's got a 4-speed automatic transmission called Ultra Drive. Ultra Drive, I like that. That's why my 5th Avenue is saying something. Drive one, you'll see. Luxury, engineering, and the Crystal Key warranty. It's all there. Take it from Joe. Killer Joe. Overnight success. That still makes me laugh.
See the limited Crystal Key warranty at your dealer. Some restrictions apply. The all-new Chrysler New York at 5th Avenue. There is no luxury without engineering.
Only 31.5% of Americans who were without work last year received unemployment benefits, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, a Washington-based research group that specializes in issues affecting low and moderate-income Americans. That ties the record low coverage rate set in 1987 and marks the 5th straight year in which the percentage of jobless who received unemployment insurance went down or stayed the same. In raw numbers, an average of 4.6 million unemployed workers received no benefits each month last year. This contrasts with an average year in the 1970s when 2.7 million jobless workers went without benefits. The consistently low level of coverage over the last 5 years is unparalleled in the history of the unemployment insurance program, says Isaac Shapiro, co-author of the report. Before 1984, he noted, the percentage of jobless who received these benefits fell below 40% only once, in 1966. As low as the 1988 coverage was, it was even worse for minorities. Only 21% of unemployed blacks, or about 1 in 5, received benefits in an average month. And just 14% of jobless Hispanics were covered. Coverage varied greatly among states, ranging from a low of 17.3% in Florida to a high of 72% in Rhode Island. In 5 states, Florida, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Texas, and Virginia, fewer than 1 in 5 of the unemployed received benefits. In only 4 states, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Alaska, and Vermont, did the proportion top 50%. One of the reasons cited in the report for the decline in unemployment insurance coverage has been a sharp increase in long-term joblessness. The overall level in 1988 was about the same as 1979, but the average duration of unemployment was 10.8 weeks in 1979 against 13.5 weeks in 1988. In 1979, over 40% of the jobless got benefits. A second factor in shrinking coverage is that benefits from most of the long-term unemployed were reduced sharply as part of the 1981 federal budget cuts. The figures I've been quoting describe a situation that's dangerous at any time, but they have especially ominous implications if America runs into another recession with a heavy loss of jobs. That's when we will most urgently need a strong unemployment insurance system. America's biggest colleges and universities may have good records on football fields and basketball courts, but they have shameful records when it comes to graduating the athletes who take part in those sports. I'm going to take a look at that problem tomorrow. So please join me. This is Carl Rowan.
The Rowan Report with distinguished broadcaster and journalist Carl T. Rowan has been brought to you by the new Chrysler Corporation, maker of Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge cars and trucks.
Morning show on WO. Oh, 14, 50.
Talk here at WOL. 2 minutes off our clock. This hour of the morning show is brought to you by the law firm of Meiselman and Green. I had the opportunity to have a luncheon meeting with both Mr. Meiselman, Attorney Meiselman, and Attorney Green yesterday, and I say good morning to both of them. Their phone number is 340-8600. My phone number is 432-1450. We have lines that are open and available. Yesterday, towards the end of the show, I was able to share with you the original copy of a letter that was sent to the dean of the law school at Queens College, City University of New York. I just walked past my message box, and there are about 10 messages in my box from yesterday that said, would you please ask Ms. Hughes to read the letter again? And yes, I will bring with me copies of this letter to the Hill this morning so that you may have your own individual copies. The letter is on personal letterhead. I want to share it with you again for those of you all who missed it. I forgot some of you got to go to work first thing in the morning, right? Some of you are already at work. It's on the letterhead of Mr. Bruce McBarnett, Esquire, 5532 30th Place Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20015. Phone number 202-362-8365 or 202-224-3543. And it says work in parentheses. The date of the letter is September the 9th, 1989. The letter is addressed to Dean Haywood Burns, City University of New York, Law School at Queens College, 65-21 Main Street, Flushing, New York, 11367. The letter reads, Dear Dean Burns, knowing your interest in exposing your students to breaking issues in the legal community, I write to offer you the opportunity of inviting me to speak at your school about the impeachment trial of Judge L.C. Hastings, paragraph. As legal counsel to the Senate Impeachment Trial Committee, I'm in a unique position to discuss some of the fascinating legal issues that we at the Senate had to grapple with in connection with this trial of Judge Hastings. Your students and professors should find this discussion quite valuable, since impeachment is such an important yet rarely used aspect of our federal government. This is only the 14th impeachment in our country's history and the first impeachment ever of anyone who has been acquitted of the same charges in a prior trial. After the Senate votes on the articles of impeachment and prints its final report, which will be around the end of October, I will be speaking to law schools and law societies about those aspects of the impeachment trial which have been made open to the public. If you would like me to come to your school, please contact me either at my home address above or at my office, which is the United States Senate Impeachment Trial Committee, 902 Hart Building, Washington, D.C., 20015, area code 202-224-3543 or 5471. For those students who are interested, I would be happy to make a few comments about practicing law for the federal government. I enclose a biography, an article from the New York Times, and an article from the Washington Post for your interest. Thank you for your attention. Signed sincerely, Bruce McBarnett. Now, shockwave went through me when I read this letter yesterday. The most interesting part of this letter is the second paragraph. It says, this is the only 14th impeachment in our country's history and the first impeachment of anyone who has been acquitted of the same charges in a prior trial. Now, Attorney Bruce McBarnett identifies himself as counsel to the Senate Impeachment Trial Committee. When the lawyers to the United States senators are saying you are trying to impeach this man on the same charges that he was acquitted of, here it is right here in writing, signed by the legal counsel to the United States Senate. But this is the point I don't want you to miss. This letter is dated September the 9th. It says that after the Senate votes on the articles of impeachment and prints its final report, which will be around the end of October, I will be speaking to law schools and law societies about those aspects of the impeachment trial which have been made open to the public. Now, This man is writing to deans of law school. Well, we know for certain he wrote to Dean Haywood Burns at City University of New York, asking the dean to invite him to come speak about a lynching that hasn't taken place. Now, how are you going to book yourself to speak on something that has not already taken place, or in your capacity as legal counsel to the Senate Impeachment Committee, does this letter imply that you already know what the vote's going to be Friday? This is why it's so important for you all to come out this morning at 11 o'clock. Yes, I will have tons of these so that you can have your own personal copy. It is real interesting how somebody can ask somebody else to invite them to come speak on something that has not happened. 8 minutes after 7 o'clock here at WOL. I want to thank my brother from Africa, soon to get his Ph.D. in African Studies, founder of Blackology, who was our last caller before news, and Carl Rowan. He said, wake up and smell the coffee. There is no difference between the dilemma, the situation of Nelson Mandela, incarcerated for 25 years for speaking out for his people, on behalf of his people, in support of his people, and what is happening in this impeachment trial of Judge L.C. Hastings. I asked him if he were familiar with Christine Kunta. She was teaching me how to do. You know, certain South African vowels have a certain, I haven't gotten it down yet. Kunta. She said to me, she made me feel so good. She embraced me. She said, my sister Kathy, you are trying. I appreciate that very much. My people appreciate Kunta, but I love to hear her do it. Christine Kunta was a member of the first student uprising in the Western Cape. She is a South African who has been in exile in Botswana since her school days. She's an attorney. She's a scholar. She's an activist. This is the first time she has ever been in the United States of America, the first time she's ever appeared, granted any interviews to the press. She is very secretive about her involvement, rightfully so. It has been years since she has been allowed in her country. I asked her on our television show, which will air this Saturday evening, 7 p.m. on Channel 50, why she has never been to America, and she looks at me and she says, because I was afraid. What you have in America is very comparable to what we have in South Africa. And I understand the danger. I understand the seriousness. Do not miss Christine Kunta. You may not be familiar with her name now. There are many who suspect, but it is not known. She refuses to answer the question. In the movie Cry Freedom, Steve Biko has a very close friend who is a woman who is forced into exile. There are many who think that that woman is Christine Kunta. She refuses to comment on it, saying that it would place her life in jeopardy. I'm just so pleased, so honored that on this week, when 8 South African political prisoners were released, that we would have a blessing from God in the form of an interview with none other than Christine Kunta. I know that it's supposed to come with the K, not with the A, right? That's all right. She is glad. She said, come on, let's do it again, Kathy. Christine Kunta. It's fantastic. The warmth, the brilliance of our South African brothers and sisters. Her warmth, her beauty. She wears a native garment on Saturday night's show. I think that no matter how many years I continue in the media, I will never have an opportunity to have 30 minutes with anyone greater than the sister who will be on this Saturday evening's television show, 7 p.m. Channel 50, mark it down, 12 minutes after 7 o'clock. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Listen, I talked to some lawyers yesterday.
Some lawyers?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I'm trying to say is that they said that nothing is wrong with this young man wanting to teach, with this letter you want to put out. If you look into it deeply, very, very deeply, I know we're all excited, you might see it a little different. And thank you very much.
But help me see it a little different.
Well, what he's saying is, something that's new that's happening in history. It's not against Judge
Alcee Hastings.
Yeah, Alcee Hastings.
But
I'm kind of nervous.
Don't be nervous, but how can he speak on it before it occurs?
He said, but notice that he said after that he was going to speak on it. But he's asking to open the door for him.
Right.
Just like any other race, eager to teach what is historic. That's all. I think we're reading a little in it. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. 13 minutes after 7 o'clock, she says she thinks we're overreacting too much to the letter from Bruce McBartley. I'm sorry that she hung up so quickly because this sentence in particular, the Senate has maintained since day one that they were not trying to impeach Judge Hastings on the same charges that he was acquitted of by a jury of his peers in Miami, Florida in 1983. This sentence says clearly, this is only the 14th impeachment in our country's history and the first impeachment of anyone who has been acquitted of the same charges in a prior trial. Well, if it's the first impeachment of someone who's been acquitted, isn't that a fait accompli? Doesn't that mean that according to this letter that this attorney thinks that there's going to be an impeachment? And if he's legal counsel to the Senate Impeachment Committee, help me understand. 432-1450. Am I reading too much into this letter, or am I reading what the letter says and understanding? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ms. Hughes.
How are you?
I'd like to thank the previous caller for a well-thought-out analysis. However, I think that if one clearly listens to the language in the letter, it does indicate at least a prophecy or prediction of something
that's going to happen.
That is going to happen. And given the current situation in this country, it's reasonable to believe that time is rather academic in this matter. I mean, in my estimation, the Senate has already come to their conclusion. And, because it was a group of lawyers that the lady listened to, doesn't that give credence to what she's saying? Lawyers are some of the most crooked people we have in our society. But then again, they can be some of the most honest people.
I was going to say, they also, Judge Hastings is a lawyer, and they can also be some of the most brilliant, compassionate, and knowledgeable individuals.
Further, with respect to the Alcee Hastings scenario or whatever, I think we as African Americans ought not be concerned with whether or not he's guilty or innocent of the charges, simply because of the fact that if he were not an African American and he was guilty of the charges, they still wouldn't come up. And I don't see this as an issue of guilt or innocence. I see it guilt or innocence. I see this as a political issue, an issue that it wouldn't have to come up.
Right, but I disagree with you from the standpoint that I think that we have an obligation to uphold his innocence because a jury said unanimously that they felt that he was guilty. Now, if we don't feel that we should stand behind what a jury says,
I don't dispute that. My point is that because of the fact that we know that he is innocent, and we look and see whether the trial is going on even because he's innocent, if he was guilty, the trial would go on.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
If we use a but-if scenario, but if he was guilty,
right,
would the trial go on? Yes.
Right.
But if he was innocent, would the trial go on? Yes. So his guilt or innocence has nothing to do with his impeachment hearing.
His African heritage and culture does, the color of his skin. You're right.
And so, the day he was conceived,
he was guilty.
He was guilty. But I would like to get a copy of that.
They're here at the radio station. The letter is here at the radio station. I'll have copies with me on the hill.
My predicament is I'm getting ready to be in your neighborhood in about 5 minutes.
You can come get it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. 16 minutes after 7 o'clock here at WOL. I want to let you know about a very important panel that's going to be conducted this evening. It's time for community bonding. The Howard University students and the Howard University community are extending their arms to each other. They have a workshop this evening, 7 p.m. Wednesday, October the 18th in the School of Business Auditorium. On the panel will be Jackie Mohammed from the Office of Drug Policy and Control, Glenn Harris from radio station WHUR, and Mr. Johnny Barnes, the distinguished legislative aide to the Honorable D.C. Congressman Walter Fauntleroy. The moderator will be our own WOL's Norm Nixon. This evening, 7 p.m., you can hear Jackie Mohammed from the Office of Drug Policy and Control, Glenn Harris from HUR, and Johnny Barnes from Congressman Walter Fauntleroy's office, moderated by WOL's own Norm Nixon, 7 p.m. in the School of Business in the auditorium. That's Georgia Avenue at Fairmont Street, Northwest, 7 p.m. this evening, a time for community bonding, sponsored by the Howard University Students HUSA, H-U-S-A, Howard University Student Association, and the Howard University community.
It's almost time for a pack of slacks, a forest of tweeds, a plethora of purses, and a slew of shoes. The Fashion Center at Pentagon City is only a few weeks away from its grand opening, and already at the Fashion Center, two remarkable things.
October the 18th at the U.S. Capitol steps on the west side at 11 a.m. to hear Judge Alcee Hastings just prior to making his final arguments before the U.S. Senate concerning his impeachment hearing. Several national leaders and elected officials will also be present. Show your support and join us this Wednesday, October the 18th.
Please be there. The WOL family will be there in force. My phone number, 432-1450. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy.
How you doing?
Okay. I was just calling concerning this letter that the attorney wrote. I called yesterday, and I got his answering service, and they gave you a number to call if you wanted to speak on this matter of the Hastings letter. And I called, and I chewed through. I told them what I thought of him. And then I called back and left a message on his machine. I left my name and telephone number. I want him to call me. But what I really wanted to say, I couldn't leave it on the machine.
Yesterday, one of our listeners called in, and he said his conduct can only be described as despicable. I said, now, when my brothers and sisters get to talking about despicable, we know all of us are ticked off.
Well, I said despicable and a few other words. I could put on the machine, but I hope he called me back. What I really want to tell him, I couldn't leave on the machine.
And I understand what the earlier caller was saying, that the brothers saw an opportunity to make some money, so why not? Well, you know, we have got to reach the point of sophistication in our community where we stop making money and getting points and getting ahead based on the backs of each other.
We're climbing over the backs of the people. There's the injustice that's being heaped upon Judge Hastings. He's promoting himself. And he's a Judas, as far as I'm concerned, making his 30 pieces of silver off Judge Hastings' misery and the injustice that's being heaped on him. And I haven't seen the letter, but I can hear. And I heard you read it yesterday, and I heard you read it this morning.
Right.
And it's nothing he can't explain to me that I'm overreacting, that he meant this and he meant that.
I can't see where the caller, as I said, I appreciate, her further discussing it, because the more of us who talk about an issue, the more informed all of us become. Yeah. But this letter is quite clear.
Yeah, but I always do that way. But I think our problem is we don't want to have to think for ourselves. We don't want to have to make decisions. We don't want to have to do anything. So if somebody can call us and explain what they meant to say or what they didn't mean to say, and we misconstrue, we accept that and go right on. Well, that's not what he meant. He meant this, and we are overreacting. He can't tell me I'm overreacting. I can hear. I can understand what I'm hearing. I definitely can read. So he's got to do better than that. I want him to call me, because there's some things I want to tell him in person, and I couldn't leave on his machine.
I love you, my sister. You have a good day. Please don't forget about the demonstration starting at 11 o'clock this morning on the west side of the United States Capitol. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy. How are you, sister?
Real good. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. I listened to your comments. Oh, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on your 9th anniversary.
Thank you.
And I listened to your show yesterday, and Judge Alcee Hastings, and I've attended the trial, my wife and my son and I, the whole trial. And what I found that was happening is that it had become confrontational with the Senator
Inspector from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
He made me so angry. He asked the same question of Judge Hastings over and over again.
And he was just amazed that a black man could write a letter without making an error.
Exactly. And And what he said that really upset us is that he was aware of how forceful Judge Hastings could come on. In other words, he was saying that he should have forced these letters that they were talking about on William Border's lawyer. And he'd offered the letters.
Right.
And the point that he was making is that you do not come in here and talk, in other words, talk back to us in the manner that you do. In other words, you are supposed to bow your head and accept what we give you. And there's one other comment that I wanted to make concerning, I'm a little nervous.
That's all right. Take your time. Take your time. I hope you're angry enough to come out and be with us on the hill.
Good. I will be there. I've been at all of them. But concerning Reverend Fontroy, we must be aware of. He's a little late on the wagon. And I don't think he's quite home yet.
Yeah, but he's on the road.
He's on the road.
He's on the road. Thank God for that.
Thank God. And history has taught us that white folks are so shrewd as to keep him in the black community doing their work for him. At the last minute, all of a sudden, he's coming forward to make these comments that he's made.
But listen, better late than never. Plus, see, I see so many positive signs. Like I said, how often do you think Associated Press ever uses a quote from Malcolm X in their day book, okay?
Right.
But today the quote is, you're not supposed to be so blind with patriotism that you can't face reality. Wrong is wrong no matter who does it or who says it. And then Fontroy is quoted in this morning's Washington Post as saying that the United States Senate trial is, quote, not right and not fair. When we have that type of positive energy flowing together, I say better late than never.
Exactly right.
All right, my darling, I'll see you this morning. Thank you. 28 minutes after 7 o'clock, my lines are open and available for your calls, 432-1450 WOL.
It's time to think about Volkswagen again. Why? Because with the launch of the 1990 model year, Volkswagen embarks on a whole new way of doing business in the United States. Our 1990 models will not undergo the customary price hikes that seem automatic to most automakers when a new model year arrives. Instead, Volkswagen will kick off the 1990 model year by lowering prices. How? It's quite simple. Instead of playing the cat-and-mouse rebate games with other automakers, we're offering our German-engineered cars for less up front. It's this kind of honest value that we think has been missing from the automotive market far too long. And many cars have added standard features, so you're getting more Volkswagen for less money 1 year later. Finally, somebody is doing something about the way automobiles are sold in the United States. Now,
And I couldn't believe it. And since then, I've been thinking about it, and I think the crutch of my confusion lies around the issue of what impeachment is, whether it's the process or the final outcome.
Okay.
He's saying, I participated in, I'm an attorney and I can talk about the impeachment.
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean that they've already made a decision, or does it mean he can talk about the legal questions or the things that happen in the process?
Good point.
And, when I first heard Judge Hastings was being impeached, I thought that meant that he was being removed from his job.
He's on the bench every day of the week. But he's not up here trying to defend himself.
Right, so that means that the process is like you're being tried for something.
Exactly.
As opposed to being already found guilty.
Exactly. So he's still sitting on the bench in the Florida courts when he's in Florida, when he doesn't have to take leave to come up here. But you're absolutely correct. He has not been impeached from the bench. He still sits on the bench. He's been removed. Excuse me, right.
Impeached in the fact that he's going through the process.
Exactly.
The process is
exactly.
So I think that the letter was ill-timed because of the lawyers' association. I mean, he should wait till after. If he's going to profit or he's going to be so crass as to use somebody else's misery, then he should have waited until after the trial, after the findings came out. That I participated in the decision making, and these are the reasons how we made the decision that we made.
But like I said, the point that keeps just nagging at me is the fact that the Senate has said, all right, fine, this is not double jeopardy. We know that a court of law found him innocent unanimously.
We're doing something else.
All right, correct. We're doing something else, but this letter clearly says as counsel to the Senate Impeachment Trial Committee, this is the 14th impeachment in this country's history and the first impeachment of anyone who has been acquitted of the same charges in a prior trial. He has admitted in writing what the Senate has said verbally throughout did not exist.
Yes.
And certainly if the counsel to the Senate doesn't know what they're supposed to be deliberating on, who does know?
It does. And then the other question is, with this information in hand, this admittance by the counsel, then maybe the patient has another, has a court remedy, because that's evidence. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's evidence that what they're saying in public is not what they're dealing with behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. I don't know, but it's very. The whole situation is real strange, because people of conscience, people who know what's going on, are standing around looking like, I don't want to say anything.
Right.
I don't want to get caught in the fallout.
Exactly.
The Right Reverend Jesse Jackson, the ministers, the people who are supposed to be leading us are all standing around. All of the rest of the congressmen and the Congressional Black Caucus, where are they?
A friend of mine who's a historian compared it to the destruction of Nat Turner, and he said certainly when the cry came out for the head of Nat Turner, the plantation was as quiet as it could possibly be. One of the things that we have to not be naive about is that these public lynchings, these public beheadings are for the benefit of keeping us silent. Scaring the hell out of the rest of us. All right, they just point blank are scared to come up. It's as if they've already acknowledged the fact that the lynch mob said they're going to get him and they're going to get him, and we got to stay the hell out the way so they don't get us too. Right, and not realizing that if they get him, the next person they come out after is you, and he's already dead. He's gone. He's beheaded. He's lynched. So who do they come after next? Is it me or is it you? So you have to stand behind this man based on the principle. And the whole question of whether he's guilty or innocent, I was taught, we grew up feeling that we had some type of security in the court system. If the court said that you weren't guilty, you weren't guilty.
You wouldn't have to do it for once.
Exactly. You wouldn't have to do it but once.
And finally, I like to say, Angela Davis said it in the book that she wrote, if we know we must fight for your life as though it were our own,
yes.
If they come for me in the morning, they may come for you at night.
Exactly.
Every time they chip away and take one person out, they close down one small business, they lock up one person for something strange, or they shoot one guy that shouldn't have been shot.
Exactly. And the worst thing that they have been able to say about this man is that
he made a memo.
That he looked like he was guilty. He appeared to be.
How do you look?
Exactly. How do you look when you're guilty? And what they don't like about him is the fact that they accuse him of having, quote, a big mouth. What does that mean, that he has a big mouth? What does it mean? And Congressman Farwell, I was so proud of him last Wednesday on the morning show when he dealt with the fact that these problems started when Judge Hastings refused to allow the Haitian refugees to be treated any different than the Cuban refugees. One day, 40 black bodies washed up on the shore. Now, Judge Hastings said, no, whoa, all right, this is not going to occur in a state where I have power, where I sit on the bench. I'm going to use the power of my bench to rescue my brothers and sisters out of this ocean where they are drowning and their bodies are washing up on shore. And this issue has just been silenced throughout America. Even those who know the story are not coming forth because, as I said earlier, they are scared. They're like, right, oh my God, he went out there on a limb and now they're getting ready to chop the limb out from up under him. I say let's be there under the tree, and when the limb comes down, we catch it. Okay, put this brother back on his feet.
If we're all there, then those things that attack my back when come face to face do not exist.
Yes.
If we face these folks, you should look at them right in the face and say, well, what is your problem?
Right.
They can't face up to it because they know they're wrong.
Exactly.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, my brother.
You at 11.
Thank you.
Bye now.
20 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy. This is Charlesetta. How are you?
Hello, Charlesetta girl. That Reverend Fuller video is a masterpiece.
I must see it.
You got to get your...
I need to get a call to see you.
I think that all of you all who participated want a copy of it. Hey, you all look spectacular. The program is superb. The video is excellent. I would hope that each and every person who went to, and those who didn't, buy a copy of the video so that they can see what they missed. It's spectacular, and I want to thank you because I know you did a lot of hard work.
Thank you. So did a lot of other people.
Yes.
We were just so glad that she was happy. She looked so beautiful, and everything came off splendidly.
Yes.
So that was great. I wanted to tell you that I'm calling to make a comment on the letter. I thought that certainly with the woman asking her friend who was a lawyer about it, certainly there was nothing illegal about the letter.
No.
But she should ask him, is it ethical?
Exactly.
Because just as the young man said right before me, it's very unethical for someone to come right out and work on an issue and immediately profit from working on that issue. In the federal government, there are laws that prevent federal officials from going out and making a profit on areas that they've had responsibility for.
That's right. That's what all these investigations have all been about.
Exactly. I think the Senate Ethics Committee should have a copy of this letter and be formally asked to make a ruling on it. Because it's clearly unethical, definitely.
That's a good point.
Definitely. Maybe we can get a letter over to the Senate Ethics Committee
That's
today.
a good point. So we're going to be up on the hill anyway.
Right.
That's a good suggestion, Charles Vetter.
Well, I will see you on the hill.
All right.
This is the worst time for me at my office, but I'm appealing to all the federal workers, all the district workers, that to take some time off as you suggested. Take a little extra time for lunch, go early to lunch, ask for an hour or two annual to come on out. Also, I'd like to appeal to the Black Senate staffers.
Yes.
I think you have a responsibility. I used to be a Black Senate staffer, and I also worked on the Hill and on the House side. And I think there are a lot of people who listen to you who work for the Senate or for the House. And I would encourage you to just walk across the street to the west steps of the Capitol to be with us. And I also wanted to say that I hope that quote today, that Barbara Reynolds, who was on your show with Norm the other day and expressed support for Judge Hastings' position, or at least, I don't want to put those words in her mouth, but she did discuss the issue. I hope that she may have had a hand in it, and I hope that she will help to turn out the press for the rally today.
Absolutely. I'll see you around noon.
Right, I'll see you there.
Thank you, my darling. 7:43 is the time. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy.
How you doing?
Art Kennedy, how you doing, baby?
Hello, Art Kennedy. God bless you. Welcome to the nation's capital. When did you get in?
Just got in, huh? What's this letter thing? What's going on?
Well, you missed it.
just clue me in.
You're just the chairman of the African American Legal Defense. You're just the man who's been right there at Judge Hastings. It's a letter from an attorney who identifies himself as counsel to the Senate Impeachment Trial Committee. His name is Bruce McBartlett, Esquire. It's on his personal letterhead. It's addressed to Dean Haywood Burns, City University of New York, Law School at Queens College. Dear Dean Burns, knowing your interest in exposing your students to breaking issues in the legal community, I write to offer you the opportunity of inviting me to speak at your school about the impeachment trial of Judge Alcee Hastings. As counsel to the Senate Impeachment Trial Committee, I am in the unique position to discuss some of the fascinating legal issues that we at the Senate have had to grapple with in connection with the Hastings trial. Your students and professors should find this discussion quite valuable, since impeachment is such an important yet rarely used aspect of our federal government. This is only the 14th impeachment in our country's history and the first impeachment of anyone who has been acquitted of the same charges in a prior trial. After the Senate votes on the articles of impeachment
and prints his final report, which will be around the end of October, I will be speaking to law schools and law societies about those aspects of the impeachment trial which have been made open to the public. If you would like for me to come to your school, please contact me either at my home address or at my office. The address is the United States Senate Impeachment Trial Committee, 902 Hart Building, Washington, D.C., 20015, area 202-244-3543 or 5471. For those students who are interested, I would be happy to make a few comments about practicing law for the federal government. I enclose my biography, an article from the New York Times, and an article from the Washington Post for your interest. Thank you for your attention. Sincerely, Bruce McBartlett. The letter is dated September the 9th, 1989.
Wonders never cease.
Well, and the Soul Rocker Angel of Good Fortune happens to have in her possession the original copy that was sent to the dean as well as logged in by his office. The good Lord blessed us. So that's the letter, Art Kennedy. So my audience is mucho upset because, number one, the Senate they've been telling you all along that these are not the same charges.
That's right.
Okay, now here the legal counsel says that this is the first impeachment of anyone who has been acquitted of the same charges in a prior trial. Also, we're quite concerned that letters are going out soliciting speaking engagements on an impeachment that has not occurred.
Absolutely.
All right, now, is it a fait accompli? I mean, if he doesn't know what's going on, who does know? All right? Okay, now, what he is going to speak on an impeachment that has not occurred.
That's right.
He's going to talk about the lynching when the lynching has not been. This is September the 9th, 1989. All right, and here we are. And the other thing that we're acutely aware of is that you all were not able to get a date from the Senate Trial Committee, Impeachment Committee. They kept putting you all off. Now, how does this man know when the findings are going to be out when they couldn't tell you all when the final arguments would be?
That's just an idea of what we've been going through, just a simple sample. I'll see you in about a half hour.
I love you.
Okay, babe.
All right.
Thank you, Doc.
Art Kennedy is the chairperson of the African American Legal Defense Fund, the group that has been raising funds and working in support of Judge Elsie Hastings throughout the last 9 years. Art Kennedy's in from Miami, Florida. 13 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Miss Hughes.
How you doing?
Okay, Miss Hughes, I'm calling to let you know I'll be to see you in about a couple of weeks here.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Did not recognize the voice. Sorry about that. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy. How are you?
We're fired up.
Fired up. This is John Harvey calling.
Hello, Mr. Harvey. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I wanted to correct you on one aspect of what the guy said in his letter.
Okay.
Judge Hastings has been impeached. What the impeachment refers to
is an indictment.
Is the indictment. And he has been indicted. I could read the legal definition if you wanted to hear it.
All right. You got it handy? That'll help.
A criminal proceeding against a public officer before a quasi-political court instituted by a written accusation called Articles of Impeachment. For example, a written accusation by the House of Representatives of the United States to the Senate of the United States against an officer. So at least on that aspect of it, his letter is correct.
Right, it's the semantics of it. Okay.
The other part about it that he's being tried on the same charges is very telling. And I personally think that, I forget the gentleman's name that has been doing the lobbying on the Hill.
George Pope.
George Pope needs to have access to that letter, and the Senate needs to be flooded with that. The reason being, if the legal counsel from the Senate has that legal opinion, that is more important than the aspect of him talking about impeachment.
You're absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct.
That's his legal opinion. So
absolutely, because
I'm bound by it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are correct. If this is his legal opinion, he's rendered it in writing, this is what the Senate has to stand on.
And if he tries to weasel out of it saying it was a mistake, that's about the best he can do. But the problem is the embarrassment is there.
So what we need to do is make certain that we get tons of these on the Hill. You're absolutely correct.
Yes,
I love you, my brother. Brilliant.
Senator gets a copy of that letter before he could lose his job because of that. Not about saying impeachment, because he has been impeached.
Okay. But by saying that this is the first impeachment of anyone who has been acquitted of the same charges in a prior trial.
Exactly. He's telling what he believes, and he is on their team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are right. Let's get past the emotionalism and get on with the action. You are right. I love you. If I were close enough to you, I'd put my arms around you and give you a big 10 minutes away from 8 o'clock. He is absolutely correct. Eric St. James is standing by with WOL News, but first I want to remind you that when you're injured in an automobile accident, you suffer a slip, a fall, a products claim, or a malpractice claim. You want to have the number of Meiselman and Green, 340-8600. They only handle PIs, personal injury accident claims. They have 3 offices, one in Marlow Heights, one in Rockville, and another in the nation's capital. They also have a full-time private investigator on their staff, and they can provide home or hospital consultations for the seriously injured. It won't cost you anything to talk to one of their attorneys. Call Meiselman and Green, 340-8600. They're the sponsors of the 7 o'clock hour of the morning show here at WOL.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Washington. I'm Eric St. James. The earthquake that hammered the San Francisco Bay Area yesterday has left hundreds of dead in Oakland. The Highway Patrol says it counts at least 253 fatalities in the collapse of part of Interstate 880. The quake has caused scattered deaths elsewhere in the region and injured hundreds more. San Francisco escaped the quake without heavy loss of life, but the city is stricken just the same. Electricity, most phone service, and public transportation are out. And reports from Santa Cruz say damage is heavy in that city. South of San Francisco, the quake was centered close by Santa Cruz. Vice President Dan Quayle and Transportation Secretary Sam Skinner are in the earthquake zone today. A White House spokesman says it's a given that California will get whatever disaster aid it seeks. Judge Alcee Hastings is expected to make a final appeal to the Senate today to acquit him of impeachment charges voted by the House 14 months ago. Hastings, the first black federal judge to serve in Florida, was acquitted by a jury in 1983 of conspiring to take a bribe. A panel of fellow judges later concluded that he lied at his trial, and the House voted 413-3 for impeachment. To save the Senate's time, a special committee of senators has been hearing testimony. The full Senate will probably decide tomorrow whether Hastings should be removed from office. Meanwhile, District Delegate Walter Fauntroy has called on the U.S. Senate not to remove District Judge Alcee Hastings from office. Appearing at a news conference with Hastings yesterday, Fauntroy said impeachment proceedings against the judge in the Senate this week are violating basic constitutional principles of justice and fairness. In supporting Hastings, Fauntroy is joining several black activists supporting the judge in a rally to be held at 11 a.m. outside the U.S. Capitol building. The House of Representatives has given final approval to the district's $3.4 billion budget for 1990 and sent it to the White House, but the measure faces a certain presidential veto because of provisions allowing unrestricted local spending for abortions. District officials have warned that a veto could worsen the city's troubled budgetary situation by further delaying a $435 million federal payment in lieu of taxes and possibly forcing the city to borrow millions of dollars more than planned to meet payroll and maintain operations. The appropriations bill, which was approved earlier this week by the Senate, contains $32 million for a new program to combat illegal drugs. The legislation also includes funds to hire 1,000 additional police officers and finance a drug treatment initiative for pregnant women addicted to crack cocaine. The bill also would alter 2 D.C. laws, changing the city's gay rights ordinance to permit religious schools such as Georgetown University to discriminate against gay groups and weakening the city's preferential system of hiring and promoting city residents. ABC's Jane Platt reports that a group of celebrities held a news conference Tuesday to announce the launching of the National Mobilization for Women's Lives, a group which favors the right of women to choose to have abortions.
Hollywood celebrities who favor abortion rights will join in rallies across the country on November 12th. Morgan Fairchild says this will kick off a year-long countdown to the 1990 elections with the hope that politicians will listen to their pro-abortion rights constituents.
Our Constitution protects our liberties and our privacy. We did not gain these rights only to give them back.
Fairchild and the other celebrities said they were appalled to hear that President Bush will veto the bill allowing federal abortion funding for rape and incest victims. As Polly Bergen put it, this means the battle has truly just begun. Jane Platt, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A warning to teenagers and parents about AIDS. ABC's Herbert Kaplow has that story.
Another alarm has been sounded about AIDS among teenagers. A group called the Center for Population Options reports that while the overall number of AIDS cases among 13 to 19-year-olds is still low, that number did increase by 43% in the year ending last July. A further indication of the problem is that 1/5 of the total AIDS cases is among people in their 20s, and that in view of the long incubation period, they may have contracted the AIDS virus while they were in their teens. The center urges community groups particularly to intensify their efforts to educate teenagers about the facts of AIDS and how to avoid getting it. Herbert Kaplow, ABC News, Washington.
District school board members annoyed that the Reverend Jesse Jackson's education plans for the city continue to catch them off guard will meet with him tonight to clear the air and suggest specific problems he could solve. That's according to the Washington Post, which quotes several board members as saying they're tired of first hearing his ideas for improving city schools from the media or during public events he attends. The newspaper says the board will likely give Jackson a list of about 5 projects it thinks he can help with, but by yesterday hadn't decided exactly what those items will be. They say tonight's meeting is an attempt to ask for Jackson's support, but on their terms. WOL weather, cloudy, cooler with occasional rain. We're expecting highs near 70, low tonight 45. Windy, chilly with showers, high 54 on Thursday. Currently in Washington, it's 67 degrees. For WOL News, I'm Eric St. James.
It's the 1989 end of the model year closeout at Rosenthal Toyota with $500 up to $2,500 price reductions on select new Toyotas. That's right. We're closing out the 1989 model year with up to $2,500 price reductions on all remaining 1989 cars and trucks in stock. The 1990s are arriving daily and we must make room, so the remaining 1989s are priced to sell. Plus, Rosenthal Toyota has the 1990 4-door 4Runner on sale for immediate delivery. The place to save is Rosenthal Toyota, 6100 Annapolis Road in the Capitol Plaza Mall. Just off the BW Parkway, Maryland Route 450 in Landover, Maryland.
And the governments of the world do not know how to handle drugs.
Stop the killing. Minister Farrakhan returns to Washington October 23rd at the D.C. Armory. Hear Minister Louis Farrakhan deliver a message to stop the killing. Free admission. Doors open at 5 p.m. That's Monday, October 23rd at the D.C. Armory. Farrakhan issues a call to stop the killing at the D.C. Armory October 23rd. Admission is free. Doors open at 5 p.m. For more information, call 399-1010.
The baby cried all night till the early morning light. Seems I just got to sleep when my alarm clock started to beat. I just want to stay in bed.
Do you use NuMe, and if so, why?
Yes, I use the NuMe in helping me with maintaining my weight and in losing the weight that I've recently lost.
How long have you used NuMe?
I've used it for about 2 years now.
What results have you noticed using NuMe?
Well, I've noticed that it's been a lot easier to lose the weight, and I enjoy the good taste.
Do you ever recommend NuMe to your patients?
I've recommended the NuMe to several of my patients for weight loss and for controlling high cholesterol levels.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wilkerson. NuMe is available at various locations. If you'd like to know more about NuMe or place an order, please call 1-800-222-MEAL. That's 1-800-222-MEAL. It's food for the you were meant to be.
Washington's got a hit on its hands. A Few Good Men at the Kennedy Center. Arch Campbell calls A Few Good Men a great show. Gripping mystery, full of humor and energy. Check this one out. The Washington Times salutes a terrific new play. Fega Levine says A Few Good Men grabs you and doesn't let go. The sleeper hit of the year. The Journal Newspapers gives A Few Good Men 4 stars. Fascinating, entertaining, and completely absorbing. The acting is superb, should not be missed. And there's more. Critical acclaim for stars Tom Hulce and Roxanne Hart, playwright Aaron Sorkin, director Don Scardino, and an outstanding cast. If you haven't seen A Few Good Men, better hurry. This limited pre-Broadway engagement ends October 29th. Get your tickets now at the Kennedy Center box office, Ticketron, or call 202-467-4600 today. 202-467-4600.
It's the morning show on WOL.
1450 on your AM dial in Washington.
1 minute after after 8 o'clock. The last hour of the morning show is brought to you by the law firm of Meiselman & Green, 340-8600. A big good morning to Attorney Meiselman and to Attorney Green. I had the pleasure of having lunch with them yesterday, and I thank you very much. I'm going back to my phone lines one last time. All the phone lines are full during this segment, and then we're going to shift gears for a little while this morning and talk about a new book, Never Too Young to Die, The Death of Lynn Bias, written by Louis Cole. And Mr. Cole is in studio with us standing by, but I told him we're going to go back to the phone lines, so he's just going to put on his earphones and listen in. Good morning to you. How you doing, Mr. Cole?
Fine, thank you.
All right, you just be patient, drink your coffee, all right, and then we will be with you shortly. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Miss Hughes. Can I tell you something that just might help Judge Hastings?
Please.
Judge Hastings, it's true what you said, and you're listening or you don't really realize that I don't think how true what you meant when you said that you need as many people to come down there as possible, because by being in the media, you're competing with the biggest story in the nation at this time.
The earthquake, 6.9 on the Richter scale.
Yes, ma'am. And I also want to tell you this ain't the first time this happened, where I was mentioning about the Emancipation of the Act of Washington, D.C. in 1862. And what that was about was this, is that, like, Lincoln had his back up against the wall because General Lee was coming across the Potomac River. And what he did, he offered freedom to all the slaves in those slave-holding states, and they flooded into Washington, D.C. and their territories. They didn't give it to the states, they gave it to the Washington, D.C. and the territories. And I think that when Lee did cross the river and realized that he fought the army, and then if he came into Washington, D.C., I think that President Lincoln threatened to arm the slaves. Thank you, Michael.
All right, we got to see here interrupting you, caller. All right, what is your point?
And my point is this, is that time has arisen again. If you're surrounded by these slave states, then I think that it's imperative for everybody who's listening to your program now to really be down there at the west end.
West side of the United States Capitol this afternoon. Thank you, my brother, so very much. You are absolutely correct. 3 minutes after 8 o'clock. Rise up, ye mighty nation. We've got to go on the hill today. Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Miss Hughes.
How you doing?
All right, and yourself?
Wonderful.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. I've been listening to you for so long, but I'm a truck driver, and I'm out here in the Gaithersburg area. Half the time I can't pick you up, but some mornings when I pick you up, I feel so good listening to you.
Thank you.
Okay, what I need to ask you this morning is, where do I need to be at?
You need to be at the U.S. Capitol building on the west side.
Okay.
All right, we're going to start to assemble at 1 this afternoon, Judge. At 11. About 1 is when the arguments should start on the floor. Judge Hastings will make his final argument before the full United States Senate. We want to be in the gallery and outside, showing our unified support.
Okay, what's the address to it?
I don't know what the address of the U.S. Capitol is. I mean, you can't miss it. Right, the U.S. Capitol, right, you can't miss it.
I grew up in Washington.
Oh, okay,
Listen, I wanted to say something.
The west side is where the steps are. We'll be on the steps of the United States Capitol.
Oh, okay, then I will be there. I'm glad that it rained because that's the only way I got to get off today.
All right.
Is there any way that possible that your listening audience can help you somehow? We need to hear you a little bit more out here in the Gaithersburg.
We need to expand the signal. Expand the signal. I'm working on it, my brother. Yesterday, according to the Washington Post, I'm trying to get into my business. There was a piece yesterday in the radio column stating it was real interesting yesterday because, as you know, the earthquake was 6.9 on the Richter scale. Yesterday, Washington Post Morning Edition reported that I had offered $6.9 million for the purchase of a Baltimore radio station. So you just say a prayer, my brother. Things are in the works. All right. And I'm definitely playing 6-9 something today.
Okay.
All right.
So one other thing. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be back on the right track. And I mean that sincerely from my heart.
Well, thank you, my brother. And you stay on the right track, please.
Listening to you, I finally switched over from that daggone FM side one morning, and I ain't been able to switch back over since.
All right. I love you. Now, when you do switch to the FM side, don't forget about Magic 102.3.
Oh, you don't have to tell me about Magic.
All right.
Oh, yeah, Magic is number 1.
All right, my darling. Love you. Number 2. We number 1.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right, my darling.
It's all in the family.
That's right. It's all in the family. Thank you. 5 minutes after 8 o'clock here at WOL. That's right. Alfred is not number 1 yet with Magic 102.3. All right. You got to catch up with his mama. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy. How you doing?
Wonderful. How you you?
I'm doing all right. Kathy, I'd just like to make a constructive criticism about mentioning that letter. Number one, that letter and the attorney is just representing this society. That's the epitome of the society of trying to make a buck. Let's look at the attorney for Raphael Edmond. I don't see or hear anybody calling up saying that he's despicable of trying to get a mistrial. Meaning that if he get a mistrial, that Raphael Edmond will be out on the street. Am I correct?
No, you're not correct, because Judge Hastings has already been to trial and been unanimously found innocent.
No, I'm not talking about Hastings. I'm talking about the action that this attorney did. It was wrong for him to do that, but he's out there to make a buck. Am I correct on that?
But I think the example you're trying to use is if Rafo's attorney was sending out letters asking universities to invite him to speak on the incarceration of Raphael Edmond. All right? So this man's speaking before the fact.
I know that, but he's trying to make some money. His action is trying to generate some money.
Okay.
The same way that if Raphael Edmond get a mistrial, then Bill Murray did his job, and he's making money off of that.
Okay.
It's the same way with the...
but they'll retry the case.
But that would make Bill Murray well known as a good defense attorney. This guy's making money getting criminals off.
So you're saying don't deprive this brother of an opportunity to make some money?
I'm not saying don't deprive him, but I'm just saying that's just how society is.
Well, that's what we got to change. That's where we're going on the Hill today, to work on the changing of society. Society only gets better when we work together to improve it. When we know something's not right, we got to band together and change it.
We have to band together, but I know you know that the majority of people who's calling up there are just going to call up and talk, and they're not going to do any more.
No, I know. No, I don't know that, my brother, because the WL family, we put our actions where our mouths are. When we say we're going to do something, believe me, there's going to be a record number of people on the Hill today.
Well, I understand that. I'm part of the WL family.
All right, well, then you should know first and foremost that we practice what we preach. If we say we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Well, I hope so. I'm just, I'm throwing that out just to say, that this is just how society is. It's the same way with the campaign of Coleman and Wilder.
Yeah, but see, it's changing. It's changing. Like, you're coming on the Hill today. If you bring a friend, that's improvement. That's progress.
Well, I'm just, throwing it out saying, look here, let's not talk. I mean, everybody who call up on your radio station is not part of the WL family.
They got to be. If they dial 432-1450, that's an immediate adoption. The minute they dial the number, they adopt it. I'll see you around noon. No, I do not know anything other than positive things. Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Miss Hughes.
How you doing?
Oh, good, thanks, and you?
Wonderful.
Good. I would like to just mention that I think we need to, granted that there are those who feel that the Senate, the committee had made up their mind, and that
we're going today to change their minds.
Yes, I understand that, but let me just make my point, and that, this is a lynch mob, and maybe it's true, and I understand that Judge Hastings has been tried once, and they are trying him on the same charges, but what bothers me is the fact that we are missing a point that this Judge Hastings wouldn't be where he is today if it wasn't for John Conyers. John Conyers and his committee decided that Judge Hastings should be charged as he's charged, that he should be impeached. And they brought it before the Senate, and that's the procedure. And I think we should focus on that and say as the Palestinians in Israel are saying, we have got to hold these traitors accountable. They did it in South Africa. First and foremost, they took care of the traitors and said, listen, this house nigger is our problem. And we cannot focus on the Senate here today. We want to change what's happening with this judge. But Conyers is the problem. He couldn't have gotten there without Conyers. And Conyers has done his bidding for his masters, and we ought to focus on that. We ought not to let him get away and say the senators are doing this and the senators are doing that. The senators wouldn't be doing what they're doing if it wasn't for John Conyers.
I don't disagree with you at all, except we do have to focus on the Senate today because tomorrow they deliberate and Friday it is their vote that would determine the fate. Now, yes, it was, it was started by Conyers, and I don't know if you heard Monday when Attorney Paulette Bowles was in, and she said something very significant. She said, had we dealt with Conyers when he was a junior congressman, when he sat on the impeachment hearing trial of, not impeachment hearing trial, the, I don't know the correct terminology, it was the Adam Clayton Powell.
Yes.
Right, okay, if we had dealt with him when he betrayed Adam Clayton Powell, he would not be around the day to betray L.C. Hastings.
That's absolutely correct. And there's a lot of John Conyers out here. You know what I'm saying? On the job, in the education system. And this is where we must focus, because that's where South Africa had to focus. That's where the Palestinians have to focus, having to focus to get what they want done, because these traitors, they are a problem. And we have to focus on Conyers. And we can do that now. You see, it's not too late, because he has to be held accountable and to know that he caused this problem.
I don't disagree. You got 1,000% vote here, but not until after Friday. Good morning to you. Good morning,
Kathy.
How you doing?
Hi, how you doing there, honey?
All right.
That's good.
Miss Ross?
Yes.
Hi, baby.
How you doing, honey?
Anytime I talk to you, I feel better. How do you feel?
I feel fine.
Good. I feel good.
You know what I feel good about?
What?
Because I know God is in the middle of this all the way.
Yes.
He's up front. Sanitation is not going to be, he is a free man. He won't write no letters about you. He won't write no book about you. He's not two-faced. God is always going to stand for us as long as we stand for him.
All right, Miss Ross, you said a mouthful. I'm glad you're feeling better. Love you so very much. It's 12 minutes after 8 o'clock. We've been through the phone lines once. Those of you who are on hold, please call back because I'm going to shift gears. I want to talk about a brand new book involving someone that many of you knew quite well, Lynn Bias. The book is Never Too Young to Die, The Death of Lynn Bias by Lewis Cole. And Lewis Cole is in studio with us after we pay a few bills. We'll be chatting with Mr. Cole this morning on The Morning Show on WOL.
Are you looking for a one-bedroom apartment that's located in a safe...
To hear Judge L.C. Hastings just prior to making his final arguments before the U.S. Senate concerning his impeachment hearing. Several national leaders and elected officials will also be present. As a people, let's show our support by also being present.
It's the Morning Show on WOL. 1450 AM. Oh, with Kathy Hughes. Get up and warm up that coffee, come on. Shake them children out of me.
20 minutes after 8 o'clock here at WOL. Excusez-moi. I was bringing Lewis Cole up to date on the involvement of the WOL family in the dilemma and issue, the impeachment of Judge L.C. Hastings. We welcome him to the morning show and thank him for his patience. Good morning, Mr. Cole.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Real good. I need you a little closer to your microphone
Here I am.
so we'll be able to hear. We know you're a great prolific writer. We want to make certain you've got a voice.
I do. Never
Too Young to Die, The Death of Lynn Bias. Brand new book, just out. The cover notes say, if there is one story that deserves the eyes and ears of today's American youth, it's the Lynn Bias tragedy. Lewis Cole's analysis of the events surrounding Bias's death is both insightful and riveting. Parents will find Never Too Young to Die to be an essential addition to their current reading, and for our children, it should be required reading. Signed, Representative Charles Rangel, Chairman of the House Select Committee on Narcotics. There's a lot of controversy in the Washington area concerning your book. Let's start off, Lewis Cole, with what were you attempting to accomplish in the writing of Never Too Young to Die?
Well, of course, I live in New York, and so my experience of the events was that of an outsider. And what I wanted to do was to see the story of... I had a son born to me 2 days before Leonard died. And so when I was going down to the hospital, actually, when I read the news, and so I could personalize or felt on a very personal level the sense of loss. And what interested me was, how does a society, how does a community deal with a loss of this magnitude? I had written 2 books on basketball previously, and so I have some knowledge of college athletics and the experience, particularly, of course, of young black men in largely white institutions, and that had always been of interest to me too. But it also seemed to me at the time that it was that Leonard's story, or the story of what happened after his death, embodied and revealed a lot of the values of the Reagan era, and illuminated them, and was a dramatic tale in and of itself. And so I wanted to show that. I felt it was a tale of national significance, and that I didn't want to do a biography of Leonard Bias. I felt that would be that would be an imposition, but I did want to tell the story of what happened after he died, and the forces that went into creating him as a person, and also as a thing in the society, in the sense that, in a way, a ball player is a natural resource. Everybody gets a piece of him. He can be mined for what his value is, whether it's his coaches, team, school, etc.
Now, the controversy in the Washington area is the fact that you were not able to talk with or interview any members of the Bias family. Did this limit your ability to accomplish your goal, or were you able to still achieve what you wanted to achieve without the direct input? You used the word imposition earlier with a biography. When you used the word imposition, did you mean on the Bias family?
Yeah, I mean, this is a personal tragedy, but it's also a social tragedy. So I never had any doubts about the right of myself or anybody to cover the story. I tried continuously to get in touch with the Bias family, and I was in contact a lot with their lawyer, Wayne Curry, at the time, to try and speak to them, etc. They decided not to. On the one hand, that what I was particularly interested in speaking to them about was the particular thing of what kinds of influence did Lefty Driesell have after the death of Leonard? How did he try to influence them in trying to cover up the death? That was what I particularly wanted to speak to.
Damage control, as it's called.
Exactly. And because I had heard stories, but I couldn't confirm any of them, that Driesell was constantly trying to say, look, let's keep this down, let's not talk about what happened, etc. In the book, Bob Wagner, Leonard's high school coach, did tell me one story, which I recount there, of when they went to the wake at the church, the local church here, that Driesell went with Wagner, and they met Mr. Bias, and Mr. Bias said, get out, I don't want to see you anymore, leave, and Wagner was very shocked. But the Biases decided not to speak to me. So on one hand, that was a limit. On the other hand, that made it imperative for me to see the story in its broader social setting, and that allowed me to open up other areas of investigation which I think were very, very important. About 90 pages of the book is a study of how the crack cocaine crisis came about, because of course Leonard's death coincided with the first public recognition of the crack crisis, and it's a study of what forces brought that together and the kinds of consequences that it's had, in particular in the black community and in poor communities throughout the country. So I felt that on one hand it was a limit, on the other hand it was a good limit in the sense that it opened the story up. 26 minutes after 8 o'clock here at WOL. The phone number is 432-1450. His name is Mr. Lewis Cole. He has a new book. The new book's name is Never Too Young to Die, The Death of Len Bias. We'll be back to talk to Lewis Cole after these messages on WOL.
Everybody starts feeling. Isuzu's Take It to the Bank sale now offers tremendous fall savings and factory cash on hundreds of four-wheel drive troopers and tough Isuzu trucks. Prices on all Isuzu troopers, this past year's lowest priced four-door, four-wheel drive sport utility vehicle, are now even lower. And prices on all two- and four-wheel drive Isuzu pickups, this past year's lowest priced imported pickup, are lower too. Whether you're hunting for bear in the mountains or bargains in the malls, this fall you'll find your new Isuzu trooper or truck beats the competition in looks and comfort as well as performance and price. Isuzu's Take It to the Bank sale, now offering fall savings and factory cash. Your chance to start the season in a new Isuzu Trooper or tough Isuzu truck for a whole lot less. So visit your Isuzu dealer this week. He's dealing so you can start wheeling.
Want to hear about a big deal that's a no-fooling really big deal? Then check this out. VOB Nissan is having one heck of an end-of-year clearance sale on all of its 89 Nissans. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a big deal because everyone's having an end-of-year clearance. So let me clue you into what the big news is really about. Unlike other Nissan dealers who are offering big end-of-year prices on the Nissan models that they have left, you know what I mean? I mean the ones they have left because nobody wanted them. Get the picture? Well, VLB Nissan has over 400 Nissans in stock and over 100 of those very neat new Maximas for you to choose from, in addition to some pretty spectacular VOB end-of-year savings. And you might also get to take advantage of factory-to-dealer incentives, up to $2,000 on select 89s as well. So, if you're looking for a big deal that really is a big deal, be smart. Come to a clearance sale where you have a real choice. VOB Nissan in Rockville.
Whew, I don't need the bus. Excuse me, please. Here's my fare, and there's a seat beside that man. Oh, a long day at work and another night next.
Here at WOL in studio with me, author Lewis Cole, whose new book, Never Too Young to Die, the story of the death of Lynn Bias. During the break, Lewis Cole and I were talking about the earthquake yesterday, 6.9 on the Richter scale in San Francisco, which has sent a shock wave through the entire country, throughout the entire world. He compared it to the death of Lynn Bias. There was a shock wave
Exactly.
that went through.
Exactly, because I think it was the loss to a community of somebody who embodied their hopes and a sense of accomplishment, and that it was such a waste, you know, a wasting kind of death, you know, and so arbitrary that to lose it. See, one of the things that
it was unbelievable. Like yesterday when we first started hearing the reports of the earthquake and the devastation in San Francisco, the first reaction was, this can't be